Hey there, so we're going to talk about pet rules right now. It's going to be an addendum or an addition to your tenancy agreement. So if you're going to be bringing pets into the property, it's going to be important to have and understand what the pet rules are and what the pet lease is. So these are the rules whereby attached are made part of the rental agreement to the date, so the date of that you started the rental agreement. And so it's your job if you get a pet to make sure that this pet policy is put in place, or there could be a problem with your damage deposit. So please make sure you get this filled out. Honesty is the best policy. So who the landlord and agent is, that's a person helping fill out this paperwork, and the landlord's name. The tenant, that would be your full name, the premises where it's located. Notwithstanding other provisions, people with visual, hearing, and physical disabilities may keep certified service dogs. Nothing herein shall hinder access of the rental unit and any accommodated areas by persons with disabilities. So permission to keep a pet is granted at the sole discretion of the landlord or the agent of the landlord, and has no more than two pets, and that are basically two pets are only permitted on the premises, and they should be under about 20 to 25 pounds. So they should be small. Traditional pets may be allowed, but any pets that are endangered, poisonous, or dangerous are not allowed on the premises. That includes Rottweiler dogs and aggressive dogs as well that are over the 25-pound mark. The following rules shall apply to pets permitted under this agreement, and by signing this agreement, the tenant agrees to comply with the terms and conditions set out herein. To keep the pet from causing any annoyance or discomfort to others, and to immediately remedy any complaints concerning the pet. That's number one. To keep the pet from damaging any property belonging to the landlord, tenants, or others. To immediately pay for any injuries, damage, loss, or expense caused by the pet. In this regards, it is expressly understood that there will be at no time shall the tenant apply any part of a pet deposit towards such amounts due, but rather the tenant shall make restitution immediately and separately from the pet deposit. It should be understood that such restitution shall be made over and above any rent paid in accordance with the rental agreement. That includes floors, walls, that includes windows, it includes everything. So just make sure you have a well-behaved pet. I have a well-behaved pet, so you can train your pets as well. It doesn't matter if it's a dog or a cat, you can train them both. To keep the pet under control at all times, to keep the pet restrained on a leash and harness, but not tethered when it is outside of the dwelling, and not to have the pet unattended for any unreasonable periods, to hold the landlord agent harmless from any liability. That's going to be very important. To pick up and dispose of the pet's waste and so on, and quickly. There are fines. I believe the fine for an infraction is $50 per fine, and that is and you are charged that. So it's going to be real important that you just do your best to keep everything clean around you. There are children as well. To ensure the pet will wear a collar and bearing the appropriate local animal licenses, have a valid rabies tags or other vaccinations that are required by local regulations. It's going to be really important. And to control flea and parasite infestations and extermination if necessary and upon demand, and any such of these areas will be affected, and the cost will be paid by you. So the landlord and tenant is not responsible for any injuries, harms, or death of an animal, and agrees to hold the landlord or agent harmless for any damages suffered as a result of any harm caused to the animal or by the animal upon another person, guest, or employee. The tenant shall be responsible for the entire amount of the damages caused by the pet, as well as the entire amount of any injuries of the individual to the property. And this includes the grass outside. It includes any of the landscaping or area around. It's important just to understand that pets are a responsibility. And so they're quite the responsibility, actually. Think very well before you actually get them. So to provide the landlord and tenant written cost evidence from a licensed veterinarian, which basically says that you have the necessary shots, and not to use any pets out of this place for breeding or commercial purposes, and the pet shall not create a disturbance for others. any physical harm or anything, and that includes poop on the sidewalk. Poop on the sidewalk is an offense, and you will be charged for it. There are people in the building that don't want to see poop around, and they will make sure they let the board know or that owner know. And so we're just looking for a nice, friendly, easy place to live, to have a normal life. Should the tenant fail to comply with any parts of the pet agreement, the landlord reserves the right to revoke permission to keep a pet. In such event, the tenant agrees to permanently remove the pet from the premises within 48 hours of receiving written notice thereof from the landlord. Failing to comply with this, grounds for immediate termination of the rentals agreement. I confirm I've read and understood the rules stated and will comply with them. And then what you do is just sign it, and then you understand the pet rules. So there's a couple minutes going through the pet rules. It's nothing big, and just be a responsible pet owner. I've gone and taken dog training. You can absolutely, everything is about the owner, guys. Everything is about you as the owner. And I tell you, some of the animals I've met are very often more intelligent than us, and we just need to guide them correctly. You can train a cat, by the way. You can train a cat just like you can train a dog, and they can be old as well. So with that, choose a pet well, and make sure that if you're a tenant, that you're keeping the owner's place very clean and nice and tidy. Your damage deposit depends on it. Thanks and take care.